I want to thank everybody for coming this evening and supporting our featured member this month, Silmara MD. She's been a member of the gallery for quite some time, and she's finally stepped forward to allow herself to be featured. And rather than me talking about her and her art, I will leave it for Silmara to tell us more about herself, more about what inspires her art, and Silmara.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for being here. This is very exciting for me. It was about 1 year ago that I came into the gallery and I was looking around, always admiring people's work. And then I thought, I would like to be here. And it was Lisa who was at the desk, and I asked her, how does that work to be featured as a member? And she explained to me, and I said, okay, maybe one day. And she said, oh, put your name down. I said, well, maybe one day. She said, do it. And I did it. Thanks, Lisa.
You're welcome.
So I did it, and I had nothing, absolutely nothing. You know, I was just playing with things as usual, just like in my basement, hiding, you know, doing my things. And so sometimes I put myself in these situations when, you know, things, okay, you put your name down, you have a commitment, so it's gonna work. I don't know how, but it's gonna happen. So I start thinking, okay, what am I gonna do? What is the theme? What is the medium? You know, I start getting too much in my head, and then I start panic. Okay, this is not gonna work. And then I just start doing things. So, you know, from the little things that I had, I start like going a little bigger, like, you know, painting canvas. Painting acrylic for me is something new. I come from a background of graphic design. I worked as a graphic designer for many years, so there is always this artistic thing in my life, but always for somebody else, always on commission. So I did a ton of graphic design work, but it was also, oh, can you do this for me? Yes, I can do it. Very digital, you know. And then I did photography, which was also digital. I started doing some things that was more like personal projects. But you know, I really want to do things with my hands, get out of the computer, get out of my mind, my head, and you know, do things more intuitively, do things that would speak more to my heart and find my voice. And I have a long way to, I think, you know, this is a lifetime for most artists, finding your voice, your style. But you know, I look at that and I'm so happy because I see there is something there. There is a seed. There is something that it's emerging. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I see that it's coming, and I'm really, really pleased to see my work displayed out of my basement in the day of light. And it's quite vulnerable to, you know, to be here showing my work, talking about it, but it's also what makes it worth it, right? Because this makes me happy. And yeah, so the way I work is very intuitive, it's very loose, it's very messy, and sometimes that drives me crazy. I cannot find that stuff and that thing. So everything is around, my basement is a war zone, it's crazy. But I think many people relate to that, right? And I just, you know, do whatever I feel like. And now I see that, you know, there is kind of a thread that brings things together. And I'm not always, well, I never actually know what I'm doing, where I'm going. And I think, you know, this will come with time, you know, to get more clarity, to get more structure, more consistency, to get my voice out there. I know that they'll come. But for now, I'm just enjoying so much playing and, you know, discovering things and see what is emerging, because it's almost like I don't do those things. Those things come through me, and that's what I'm opening space to. I want that the art will come through me, and through me it will be the expression of something that is me, which is a journey of a life. And I'm interested in many things. I'm very curious. I'm very, my mind is all over the place. I like to learn. I like to experiment. I like to play with different things. So why not? Why not play with all the things and do all the things and, keep playing and having fun and joy. And also, it's not always joyful. Sometimes it's very painful, right? Like, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going through all these emotions. It's like I'm having a bad day because I did a bad painting today. Like, it carries through the day, but also it teaches me how to be resilient and to know that, yeah, that's bad, but it can be good. I can turn that around. I can do something with that. I can, transform, and that's what I do with my life too, right? Some days are bad, some days are good, and it depends what I see, where I stop, what I do, and that's how it goes. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to be showing my work. And I feel like a proper artist, almost. And I see that this is a seed. This is for me is the beginning of a new stage, a stage of I don't know what, but it is for sure. It's a stepping stone for something bigger that is about to emerge, something that will continue, and yeah. So. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Samara. Now, before we let Samara go, do you have any questions for Samara? Don't be shy.
I just have a comment. I just think, like, coming from your graphic background, that's a big change, and I think you're well on your way. I think you're really, it's beautiful to see how you're so comfortable being so expressive and using your intuition, because that's not often an easy transition. And like, bravo.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little about the reasoning behind like this type of musical landscape? I would kind of refer to it as.
Yeah, I don't know. When I was thinking, like, what were the themes that I feel interest, what are things that move me, I have a hard time finding themes, finding things to work with. But sometimes things come. So, that painting, for example, it started with an exercise of doing a 30-day interaction in the same painting for 30 days. So I just started putting colors and things, and there was a point, and ruining the painting 100 times, and there was a point that I saw, I think there is a landscape here, there is a garden, there is something. So I'm not interested in figurative things. I don't want to paint landscapes, but somehow it shows up in my paintings, this flower, this wild thing, and I don't know. And one thing is that I'm sure that that painting is so busy. There are so many layers, so many things, so many experiments, so many mistakes, so many things happening, and it's a reflection of my own mind. My own process of discovering things, playing with things, learning the materials, and experimenting with that. So I see that painting as a reflection of my own business. It's just so busy and messy and not sure where it's going. So I see that things will tend to maybe calm down and turn into something more clean and clear, or maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, for me it's totally a reflection of my own busy mind.
It's beautiful how, like, with something that has so much going on, both in color and element, in composition, that it is not overwhelming in the way that it feels jarring. It's very inviting, and it like really, you want to be looking at it, and it brings like joy and happiness to people that stare at it.
Oh, nice. Thanks.
Okay, so Mara, I'm gonna ask a question. With all your playing and your experimentation, and when I look at the various different media that you've worked with, have you discovered one that is more than likely going to be your favorite that you work with?
Not really. I don't want yet to discover one, because I want to keep exploring. But I love working with paper. So collages for me are something that I really enjoy doing it. And sometimes I feel like playing with some things that are less messy. Maybe I can like bring my things down to something that I can do in my dinner table instead of my basement, and but no, I keep changing what I want to play with. And I'm like that in my whole life. I have many interests, I have many things that I want to explore. So I don't want to bring that to one thing.
Yeah, that comes out in your art and in your display.
Yes,
Well done.
and I enjoy, and I learned how to embrace that, because before I was a graphic designer, and then I was a photographer, and I was in a huge conflict. Should I be a graphic designer? Should I be a photographer? How am I going to separate things? And then one day I discovered, I'm not going to separate anything. I'm going to just bring everything together. There is multiple things I can do and that I want to do. So why am I going to just limit myself to? Depends on my mood, depends on what's going on, and I want to keep doing all the things.
Well done. Any more questions for Samara?
It's like the personal significance of like Catholicism for you.
Well, that's very interesting. I'm not a religious person, but I am spiritual. I like the spiritual things, not in a religious way. But coming from Brazil, my home country, where we have the Catholicism as the biggest religion, and in my family I was brought up as a Catholic, but at the same time we were like in the Afro-Brazilian religions and all the things, and I explore all sorts of spiritual paths. So for me, it's something that I find it beautiful. I find beauty in it. There is a connection to my home country, to visual experiences that I have as a child. So it's something that it's warm for me, and I find it beautiful, and I like to explore that. So it is somehow spiritual for me, but not necessarily religious. Yeah, although it is, but it ends up being a mix of all the things.
Anyone else?
Do you have any influences?
Sorry?
Do you have any influences, particularly with your paintings?
I look at many artists on the internet, like contemporary artists, but not in particular. Not in particular. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what would be my influences. Like it comes from many sources. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Well done, Samara. Thank you very much.
Thank you.